Hello, world, and this is Overtime with Terrence and Leon and WRBI original production presented by Bruns Gutzwiller. Choose Bruns Gutzwiller for your next construction project. Also being brought to you today by FCN Bank. FCN Bank, building stronger communities. Member FDIC. Leon, this is often the weird part of the summer. You've got your NBA champions crown, so basketball is done. The dog days of summer with baseball. Football hasn't yet got started, but it's one of those rare opportunities that you have the Olympics this summer, and that's what everybody's talking about. That's the buzz all around town, and that's why we were so excited about our next guest.
Yeah, seriously looking forward to this. I've heard so many things about Mason from all around this area. We moved here in 2014, and as the years went on, you always hear about the guys, the athletes that are really doing great things. And I started hearing about a Mason Parris as a football player, then Mason Parris as a wrestler. And, when I do stuff at the high school at Batesville, I hear wrestling kids talk about Mason Parris. So I'm just looking forward to kind of looking behind the curtain and get to know who Mason really is.
Awesome. So without further ado, we welcome to the program the pride of Lawrenceburg High School, a former Michigan Wolverine and now Olympian, Mason Parris. Mason, welcome to the program, sir.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Good deal. Well, we're excited about having you on, and I know it was no small undertaking on your part to be with us. Your schedule has been super crazy here lately, right?
Yeah, it's been insane. Just something new every single day, but I've been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun.
So
good. Well, I'm glad.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm just glad to hear that you're at least taking time to enjoy the ride, because one heck of a ride it's been for you since high school.
Yeah, it's been a crazy experience for sure, but it might not all last forever. So I'm just enjoying it.
So Mason, everybody obviously knows you were a national champion at Michigan, but tell us what life has been like since that moment leading up to Budapest, where you just came back from, and now.
Yeah, so my NCAA season ended last year, and ended up getting my NCAA championship. It was something I was really obsessed with. Just working really hard to, and then it ended perfectly getting the Hodge Trophy, which is the most dominant college wrestler. So that went really well, and then a few weeks later, I was already competing to wrestle and try to make the world team. For my first time senior world team, and then. I ended up making the team. I found out 2 weeks before that I was going to be competing in the World Championships. So I went over to the World Championships and got a bronze medal for my first big senior competition, and that helped build a lot of confidence for me. And then the next thing for me was just preparing for the Olympics, and I did a bunch of tournaments here and there. Did pretty well in all of them, and it was just all going towards trying to make that Olympic team. And then 2 months ago, finally made the team, and now it's just focusing on getting that gold medal. It's been a lot of fun, been a lot of training and stuff, but I've been enjoying it all.
But before we get headstrong into the Olympics and everything that you've got going on right now, let's go back in time just a little bit and take you back to your Lawrenceburg high school days. You were a 3-star athlete back in high school, right?
Yeah, I was. I played wrestling, football, and then I did track also.
Now, what events in track and field did you participate in?
So I threw shot put, and then I did the 110 and 300 hurdles.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Get it.
I got to ask you, 110 and 300 hurdles. How much did you weigh at that time?
I was 220.
Yeah. See, I was about to say that is an odd collection of events for track and field. Usually you'll tell me, discus and javelin or something along those lines. I don't think I've ever heard shot put and hurdles.
Yeah, so my dad was a state champion in shot put, and my mom was a state qualifier in hurdles. So they taught me both what to do, and I track was a lot of fun. It was kind of my season just to go out there and have fun, not take it too seriously or anything. But I was a conference champ, regional. Kept advancing in the hurdles and ended up making it to the state finals in the 110 hurdles. So that was pretty cool. I was running the 110 hurdles and throwing shot put, and I walked over to the hurdles, and all the kids were looking at me. They're like, "Yo, big boy, the shot put bit's over there." I said, "Nah, I'm running this event." Like,
Oh my goodness. So let's continue down this same path then. So talk to me about your football career. What positions were you playing for the
yeah.
Tigers?
So I started as a freshman. I was the middle
Hmm.
linebacker. I was running the defense, and that was definitely really tough. We had a really good team. A lot of seniors and stuff. So kind of directing and telling those guys what to do was really really big step for me. And then so I was the middle linebacker all 4 years, and then they moved me around a little bit on offense. So I played both ways. I I was a tackle one year. I was a guard one year. I was a tight end. I ran the ball a little bit as a fullback my senior year, and then I was just wherever they need me. I think I even kicked the ball a few times on kickoff. So it was just never going off the field, and I that's how I wanted it. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
So when you talk about football skills, obviously one of your fellow competitors just signed with the Buffalo Bills. Does that cross your mind as to maybe if there's a future in football?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something I've been thinking about for a long time because, I've always loved football. That's why, I started to wrestle. It was to get better at football. And yeah, I've always definitely have thought about that. After I won, the NCAA championship last year, I had a few teams talk to me. I had, the Lions, the Bengals called me, and they said, "Hey, do you wanna try out for the team?" And I was just like, "Hey, I gotta see this wrestling thing all the way through. I'm trying to make the Olympic
Wow.
team, trying to win a gold medal." And they said, "Well, when you hang up the wrestling shoes, give us a call." So, that's something I think would be really, really awesome to explore and a lot of fun.
Mason,
And when you
Mason, how long does a wrestling career usually last?
It kind of depends. So you're starting to see a lot more longevity now, but I would say guys typically reach their peak of 27, 28 now. They're usually done by, 32, 32 is like on the older side, I would say.
So if you win a gold medal, will you move on or will you try to get to 2028?
That's kind of what I'm not really sure. And, I'm going to see kind of how it goes after this Olympic cycle and kind of recess and, pray on it and talk to my family, kind of see, what's going to be best for me.
Mason, your high school wrestling career, uh, from a win loss perspective, I mean, one for the ages, right? I'm looking at this, and at first I had to double check because I thought this might be a typo. 206 wins to one loss in your high school career, and 152 straight wins. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, it was well looking back it was a lot of matches every year, 50 some matches an entire season, it's a lot of matches.
So I got to ask you about which would appear to have been your freshman year. I mean, you go your entire high school career with just this one loss. I got to be that guy. I got to ask you about that
Yeah,
loss. What do you what do you remember about
yeah,
it?
that's probably one of the matches I remember the most, with being my
Right.
freshman year, my loss. So coming from Lawrenceburg, we never had a state champion in wrestling, and I was a true freshman, and we haven't had very many, I think 3 or 4 other state placers in wrestling in our entire
Right.
history. So I came in my freshman year, not really sure how I was going to do. I knew I was a good wrestler, but never really knew how I was going to size up in high school. So then, I wrestled the entire season, won semi-state. I beat some guys that a lot of people didn't think I should have beat, and I surprised a lot of people. And then I went into the state championship, and I was wrestling, a senior, a returning state finalist, and he was good. He's a big boy, and it came down. He ended up getting the lead on me early. I think I was down like 8-2 or something. And then like halfway through the second period, I started getting takedowns on him. I started coming back on him, and I ended up tying the score up at the end of the third period with about 30 seconds left. And
Okay.
I always so in wrestling you say you cut the guy. So I was on top of the guy and I let him up. So I gave him a point neutral because I was like, I'm gonna take this guy down again. So then I came at him, I pushed him out, and he kind of walked off the mat. And then so they give you like a stall call saying he's not doing any action, he's not doing any work. So if you get two of those, you get a point, which would have tied the match up. So then I come at him again, and he backs out of the match. He backs off the mat again, which should have been another stall call, but the ref never called it, and
Oh,
I came out, and I ended up losing the match by a point after letting him up, and the whole arena was going crazy, booing the referee, telling him he sucked, and
Wow.
yeah, it
oh
was
man.
crazy, and then yeah, so that was my one loss, and then that referee came up to me my senior year and was like, Mason, I'm sorry, I think I cost you 4 state titles,
No.
like. I was like, don't
No.
even tell me that, bro. Don't even tell me that now. I don't want to hear it.
Did,
Oh
were
my
you tempted
God.
to body slam him right there?
Yeah, right. It was whatever at the time. It made me a lot better, and it made me realize that I was good enough to be a state champion. So
Mason,
Wow.
as I sit here and look at you, I'm looking over your shoulder and I see your cross. And I don't know if you watch NBA, but there was a big deal about the Celtics coach and how strong his faith is. With your success, how much has your faith played a role in what you've been able to do?
oh, it's played a massive role for me. I think you know, just like faith in general for, athletes and wrestlers is like just like so big in our lives. It just like really teaches us a lot of humility and being humble and just appreciating what we have. And, I've been reading the Bible, every single day, just, trying to learn. I'm, no expert at all in it, but, for me, it's just helped eliminate like a lot of worry in me. And, I just, have nothing to worry about really when I go out on the wrestling mat. So, it's just helped to alleviate a lot of that for me.
That's awesome. We did an interview with Riley Gaines, 12-time All-American swimmer that was from the University of Kentucky, and she's gone on to do some other things to kind of help women's sports and keep single sex spaces as the way they should be. But she really talked about how her faith played a role in everything she's done, and even some of it she said has been like divine intervention. So that was pretty cool to hear that, because she was the first athlete we've had that's really talked about their faith, and that's why I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, I think it's been, it's you look at a lot of the top athletes, and it's they put a lot on their faith, and it's I think it's amazing, and I think like it just shows that how much it helps you out. So
Mason, with some of the athletes we talk to, I've always found it interesting when they can relate to a specific time when they just knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were really good at their sport and that they had a future in it. But when I look at your high school record, I'm assuming you just kind of knew all along that you were better than the average wrestler, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I was always pretty good at wrestling. I started. I was 4 years old, and I went into a wrestling club not too far from me, over at East Central, and they're like, "Man, you're pretty good. Like, what grade are you in?" And I was like, "I'm not in a grade yet."
What?
Because I was four. I wasn't even in school or anything yet. But yeah, I think wrestling was always really hard on me because the individual aspect, and my dad
Uh-huh.
my dad was the head coach, so it was always a hard sport. But I really started to find love in it not until I was probably like a fourth or fifth grader. When I started to win a lot more and started to realize it was really cool going to all these different places, getting to travel all over, and beating up on guys. I had a lot more fun when I was winning.
So I got to ask this then. So we're still in high school, so you tell me which was more gratifying, being that middle linebacker and diagnosing a play and getting a big, huge tackle for a loss, or pinning a guy in a wrestling match? Which one gave you more satisfaction?
Oh man, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. You know, because we played at Lucas Oil. You know, we were state finalists my junior year in football,
Yeah.
and that was a really cool experience. Even though we lost, but that was a really cool experience. And it just I would say it just kind of depends on the stage of where I'm at. You know, pinning a guy in the state
Sure.
finals is a really crazy feeling that I got to experience my senior year. So yeah, I mean, they're both pretty great, I would say.
Mason, what would
Well,
you say? Would you say wrestling has probably been the most challenging thing you've done?
Yeah, definitely.
And why?
Yeah, it's just the thing about wrestling. It's just me out there. There's no one else to blame it on. That's what made football a little bit easier on me. It was like if someone messed up the play, it was maybe someone missed the tackle or my safety behind me didn't do his job. But I can always blame it on other people. But wrestling, it's out there, and it's just me out there, and wrestling doesn't get a ton of recognition and everything. And I just know how many guys, and we work so hard, and we put in so much work. The practices are so hard. We push ourselves to the limits where we're gonna break. We want to cry a lot of times, and just like pushing our bodies to past our limits. And it's definitely a really tough sport, especially not just physically but mentally, for sure.
Bruins Guts Willer is the right choice for your next construction project. We strive to deliver unparalleled service to our clients by focusing on craftsmanship and quality. Our core values of integrity, professionalism, and fair pricing all but ensures our clients receive the best possible experience. Whether it's commercial construction, remodeling an existing space, or even building a luxurious home, we offer a comprehensive suite of construction management services. So before you break ground, give us a call at 812-934-2105. Bruins Guts Willer, building a better future for southeastern Indiana for over 100 years.
So you gotta tell us this, okay? Explain to us how you got the name King Paris.
Yeah, so I wrestled in a wrestling club in high school. It's Spatola Wrestling. It's over in Newport, Kentucky, and he would just call me King Paris after all my matches. He would always refer to me as that. He started a wrestling camp for me where I would teach some little kids, call it the King Paris camp and
It's
stuff like that.
awesome.
So it just kind of stuck. And then when they helped me design my logo, Cliff Teen Athletic helped me design a logo for my branding and stuff. I decided that I wanted it to have like a crown on it. So because he used to call me King Paris, so
I
that's
love it.
kind of that stuck. Yep.
So right now, Mason, with you, when you talk about camps and things like that, are those some things you get to do in your off season, or have you been too busy preparing for the Olympics?
Yeah, I usually get to do a lot of them, but I just I haven't been able to really do any this summer because I've just been so busy. But I always like to go back to Lawrenceburg in that area, Indiana, Michigan, wherever I can to go and give back to the kids. And I always have a lot of fun doing that. The kids are a lot of fun to talk to and mess around with and stuff. So I always enjoyed that.
now, Mason, if our listeners, if they follow the sport at all, they know that Michigan is always had a pretty proud tradition in as far as their wrestling program, one of the top programs in the country. Was that the destination of choice for you? Was that your number one school of choice when you were looking to go to college?
I never really knew where I wanted to go to college. I never really was sure. I I was probably, a Notre Dame football fan a little bit when I was younger. And,
Yeah.
I even liked Ohio State because it wasn't too far away. And, Michigan was never really on my radar a whole lot. But then like once recruiting and everything happened, I loved the school and loved everything about it.
What was that recruiting process like for you?
Oh, it was pretty crazy. So at your junior year, the coaches can come and they visit your house. So I had I think 6 coaches the first day come to my house down in Lawrenceburg, and then like 5 the next day. And it was cool getting to meet all these coaches from all over. They were coming from all the way from California, all the way from North Carolina, so that was a really cool experience. And then just feeling, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play football or do wrestling at that point. So then just having all those wrestling coaches there, helped kind of push me, I think, towards wrestling a little bit more. Just feeling wanted and feeling valued, and getting those looks was really cool. And then I ended up taking 5 visits. I took one to obviously Michigan, NC State, Northwestern, Virginia Tech, and Nebraska. And I took all 5 visits. It was during football season. I would right after I would get done playing football on Friday nights, I would usually fly out in a plane or drive to the school for Saturday, and go to their football game and get to experience all of their school and stuff. So that was a really cool experience. And then I ended up narrowing it down to Michigan just because it was awesome academically and athletically, and I just saw myself reaching my full potential there, and I've just loved it ever since.
Mason,
So I'm curious, on your Michigan visit, what football game did you see?
Oh, I can't even remember exactly. I can't even remember exactly who I saw. But I mean, a cool. My Virginia Tech visit was really really cool. They
Yeah.
played Clemson in a night game, and it was really electric there. I ended up meeting Mike Vick. He was on the field. He was the honorary captain that day, and yeah, it was a really cool experience. But I
But Mike Vick couldn't close the deal, huh?
no, he was no, he was just kind of there to enjoy everything, kind of check it all
Right.
out. But yeah, that was really fun. But I think they might have played like Rutgers or something. I think they ended up
Oh,
blowing them out that year. So
right on.
so Mason, with your dad being your coach and all the success you've had, and with him being a state champion wrestler, what would you say he instilled in you that helped you find success in wrestling?
yeah, he's instilled so much for me. He was a college football player, and he wrestled a few years, not a ton. And he would go in our basement and watch wrestling videos and just do whatever he could to help me and the other kids succeed in wrestling, because he just knew how important it was. And then just like the lessons he taught me was insane. Just as a young age, just learning about humility and the hard work, and being persistent, and being able to be coachable, was really important. He was, a little bit extra hard on me just because I was his son, and he had high expectations for me. But I thank him, now for all of that and all of he's done, and it was all out of love. And I it was awesome. I was really glad he was able to coach me all the way through growing up, and just the lessons he's taught me. And I think if I want to coach and go back later, I'm thinking I would love to have him help me out to coach some wrestling and coach some football.
That'd be awesome.
Man, that's good stuff. Uh, so you get to Michigan, you set foot on campus there, and you're preparing for your first collegiate wrestling season. I have to know, after going through high school with only one loss, what was your mindset when you got on the mat for the very first time at Michigan?
Yeah, so I knew it was a completely different level, and I really kind of
Hmm.
realized that my freshman year. I was still successful, doing well, beating some guys, but it was definitely, a lot harder. I wasn't getting away with, some of the stuff I was getting away with in high school. And, my plan was just a redshirt my first year. And, thinking about, I came in, 230, 220, around that range. And, the max is 285. So, I was a little bit undersized. And, I came in and, I started beating some guys, and they ended up deciding to pull my red shirt and starting me on the Michigan team. It was tough, wrestling, these guys that were, 4 or 5 years older than me. And I was, some of them were, cutting to 285 pounds, and, I was 230 pounds. And, it was definitely a tough year. And, balancing, school and, my social life, trying to figure all of that out my freshman year was really tough. But, I made, the adjustment my sophomore year and, figured it out a little bit more.
So what I'm seeing now, so you're right there in that 285. Well, you tell me what's your weight right now?
I'm about 260.
Okay. And what do you remember? What's the most weight you've had to cut on the day of a match?
So lucky for me, I didn't have to cut at all in college, and I just watched my weight a little bit in high school. But I don't think my dad, for me, he was always like, hey, you're just gonna wrestle whatever weight you weigh. You're not gonna, I'm not gonna stunt my growth at all. But it's funny, the first time I cut weight was for a football to run the ball. So they used to make you do that. So I wasn't a double striper on my helmet. I had to cut weight. I remember, putting a garbage bag on my body with a bunch of sweats and running on the treadmill in my house, just, trying to sweat, as much as I could to, get down to weight.
You just had to run the ball, didn't you?
Yep.
Good deal. So you get your national championship with Michigan, definitely one of your goals, and then you start to set your sights for Olympic gold. What have you seen in terms of the difference? You talked a little bit about the jump from high school to college. Now that you're wrestling with Team USA, what have you seen the differences there from college to the Olympics, to the world stage?
Yeah, so it's definitely different. So, wrestling domestically against all US guys, we all have, similar styles. We all go really hard. We're all really gritty and tough, but we go and we wrestle. We just got to adjust to, different. It's a different type of wrestling. Wrestling against
Right.
these other, foreign guys. They like to wait around a little bit more. They're a little bit more relaxed, and then they explode, really quickly. And they have, really good technique and freestyle because that's what they've been doing since they were really young. So just adjusting from folk style college wrestling over to freestyle, which is the Olympic style of wrestling. It was just learning all about that, and trying to figure out the scoring and the rules. I'm still still learning a little bit, each day about that. So,
What would you say the biggest differences are between freestyle and folk style?
well, honestly, for me, I like freestyle more. I think it blends with my style really well. So I think that's why it was an easy adjustment for me. But
Mhm.
the main thing is like, you know, folk style wrestling. It's like it's a little bit more like control. Like you take someone down, you're on top. You're breaking the guy down. You're trying to keep him on his stomach. You're not trying to let him up. And but in freestyle is you can take the guy down, and they only give you 10 seconds to turn the guy, and then they put you back up neutral to go again. And it's
Mhm.
the thing about freestyle too, it's the match can go back and forth so quickly. It's you could be down 8 points and come back and win the match. You just take the guy and you just roll him a few times over, and every time you roll him over, it's 2 additional points. So the match is never out of control. And sometimes in folk style you can get up by a certain amount, and you should win the match if you're up by a certain amount of points in folk style. But it's not really like that in freestyle.
So Mason, give us the scouting report of the guys that you'll be competing against when you go try to win a gold medal?
Yeah, so there's so the top four guys, I would say, I'm I'm the number three guy, and the number four guy, he's a guy from Turkey. He's really good, multiple time, world champion, a legend, and he would wrestle the number two guy a lot, and he's a guy from Georgia, and they would just go back and forth. They've been, the kings of the heavyweight division
Yeah.
for so long, maybe the last 10, 12 years. So everyone knows those guys. They're huge celebrities in their countries. They're like our LeBron James, pretty much. They're
Yeah.
they're because like wrestling is just so high held in these other countries. And then the number one guy, he's an Iranian. He won the world championship this year. I wrestled against him in the 2019 Junior World Finals, and ended up beating him. So I haven't wrestled him, in 5 years, but hoping that I can compete against him, to get that gold medal.
That's awesome, man. Let's go.
Yep.
Have you allowed yourself the chance to kind of dream and spin it forward to realize what it would mean to you to be an Olympic champion?
Yeah, it would mean the world to me. I've been dreaming of being an Olympic champion for a long time, and just really reaching the pinnacle of wrestling, and representing my country. It's just awesome that I even get the opportunity to go out there and have USA across my chest is just so great, and bringing home that gold medal to the United States would just be a really great honor for me.
Leon, one of the things that I like most about working and living in Batesville, it's the community. Batesville has a little something for everyone, and FCN Bank is the exact same way. Whether it's my personal or business needs, FCN offered me an array of banking products and services that would fit my every banking need. Don't take my word for it. You should check it out yourself at www.fcnbank.com. FCN Bank, building stronger communities. Member FDIC.
So you mentioned earlier, Mason, about NFL teams giving you a call, showing some interest in you. I have to imagine that's it's a pretty amazing feeling. Tell me, what was your reaction like when you got someone from the Bengals organization on the phone?
Yeah, I was starstruck. It was dreaming of playing on the Bengals. Would be amazing. Something I feel like every kid in the Cincinnati area thinks of, and just to have that opportunity would be amazing. Like just that experience of being able to play and being on that field, being around all those guys, and I think that would just be an amazing story. I could tell my kids, no matter how it went. But I believe that I think I'm definitely good enough to make the team, and I
Right.
think if I really focused and put all my energy into that, I think I could definitely be successful in it. And yeah, I know just doing that it'd be really exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Uh, and let me ask you this though. And I had a conversation with the head wrestling coach over at Milan High School, and we were talking about uh, the different parts of the sport, or that allows certain people to be more successful than others. When you look at your career, um, I assume technique is everything in wrestling, but what would you say you would attribute your success to mainly?
For me, I would say it was my mindset. I was
Okay.
trained at just a young age to, no matter what happened, just to keep going, to, dominate, try to put up as many points as possible. And I think that's kind of what made me a really good wrestler. Was I was always going out there and I was just trying to score points, even if I was, sometimes giving up takedowns. I was never out of the match because, I was going to keep wrestling. I was going to keep attacking. I was going to keep scoring on these guys. And, I think just from years of me doing that, it's just made me a lot better wrestler because I've felt all of these different kind of feels and these different situations in a wrestling match because I've put myself there a lot.
Wow. Okay, good deal there. And I would like to believe that there are some parents, maybe of some young wrestlers, or maybe some young wrestlers themselves that'll listen and hear this pod. Uh, with that being said, Mason, what would be your best advice to a young wrestler?
Yeah, my best advice would be, just to find love in the sport. It's a really hard sport. People, I still get nervous. It's still, a really tough sport on me. But just finding the love in the sport is just what makes it, so much more rewarding. Just all of these life lessons, all of these things that wrestling has taught you, and it's just it becoming just. And I would tell them, the thing is you're not valued in your wins and losses at the end of the day.
Mhm.
It's not about if you won this match, you lost this match. Your value is never held in those things, and just appreciating those experiences.
Right. And speaking of experiences, I mean, obviously this summer you'll be in Paris and you've wrestled all over the world. Uh, what's some of the coolest things you've gotten a chance to see or witness being a wrestler?
Yeah, so I'm grateful that I get to travel around the world for my sport, and they help support me in doing all of that. But I loved going to Budapest, Hungary. That place is really really cool. The architecture there is really awesome. It's just a fun place that people come from all over, and there's a bathhouse in there that was really cool. They have like hot tubs and steam rooms and cold tubs and salt rooms and everything like that. So that was cool that I was there last week. And one of the cooler places I went to also was Chile. Was really cool. We
Mm,
had the Pan American Games, so there was we were in like a village almost with like it was similar to the how I pictured the Olympics to be. We had buildings. There was a U.S. building, Jamaica, Mexico, all of those countries all right in the same area, and we all ate in the dining hall together. So that was a really really cool experience. Just people from all different backgrounds, all different sports and stuff. Coming together and just having some fun.
Now, I obviously don't have any firsthand knowledge of this, but we all hear stories about how wild and crazy these Olympic villages can get. Are you ready for what the Olympic Village in Paris is going to be like?
Yeah, I mean I've heard stories, but no, it I'm not really sure. What goes on there. I've only heard some things, but you know we're the last sport that really goes on. So
Uh huh.
I'm hoping all these people celebrating their medals and stuff isn't going to be too much of a distraction for me and my fellow wrestlers and stuff. So luckily for me, they're our wrestling team, they're going to put us in a little hotel right before our competition. But we get to be in the village all the way up to the opening ceremony, and then after we wrestle up until the closing ceremony. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And how many wrestlers make up Team USA?
Yeah, so freestyle, which is what I do, which is the most popular in the U.S. is there's only six of us, so one person per weight class, six weight classes, and then we have six Greco wrestlers. So Greco is all throwing and stuff like that, and then we have or yeah, and we didn't qualify all six of our Greco wrestlers, so we only have three guys from the U.S. growing up for our
Okay.
Greco team, and
Okay.
then we have six women freestyle wrestlers going. So, there's 15 U.S. wrestlers, total wrestling in the Olympics.
Okay. Good deal. And uh, I was going to save this for last, but since we're talking about it now, I'll go ahead and ask you this question now. It how do you feel about the team in the medal count? Give me a number. How many medals you think Team USA is going to bring home when you look at those? When you look at that wrestling team?
Yeah, when I look at our freestyle team, because those are the guys, I know the best, I know the most. I think we're easily taking home a medal in every single weight class. We have, I
Wow.
think, one of the best teams we've ever had, and every single guy every single guy has a chance to win gold, and a really good chance to of getting that gold medal. So it's really exciting for us and our team, and I think our team is really great.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Well, Mason, like I said, that normally would have, yeah, that was going to be my last question, and you answered it right on time. Listen, I want to first of all, just thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us, and talk to you about your journey a little bit. And I got to tell you, uh, of course, you already know it, but if not, I mean, all of southeastern Indiana, Indiana as a whole, the United States of America, we're all pulling for you, and we wish you all the best of luck this summer in Paris, and can't wait to see you standing on that podium representing southeastern Indiana.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
All right, man. Well, listen, again, good luck to you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this one. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for making this show possible. They include Bronze Gutzwiller, the right choice for your next construction project, and FCN Bank, building stronger communities, member FDIC. Also, we'd like to thank our friends of the program. They include Margaret Mary Health, S&B Driving School, and Country 103.9 WRBI. And as always, subscribe, like, rate, and review. And remember, be a friend and tell a friend about Overtime with Terrence and Leon.